Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Preacher, Holes. And this is the last time I'm going to review this because I got really bored with this episode. I just think they've lost momentum and steam on everybody's front. Like with Jesse's search for God, Tulip and her dealing with the stuff with the Saints of Killers, Cassidy dealing with the stuff with Dennis and like Eugene and Hell and all that, and trying to tie up the Grail organization into it. It's just not working right. I was just bored watching this episode. I'm like, okay, I never thought that would happen because of how eventful season 1 was and this first episode of this season, and it just really dipped in my opinion, and it's just like, I don't know if it's going to come back. There could be some way to pull it back, but it's just like going on so long that I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch it out of obligation, being like hoping that something good's going to be happening when I'm just having to sit through all this kind of boring stuff to get to it. You don't want to do that in a TV show. So this episode starts off when we see Eugene and Hal. We see him having Tracy tattooed on his back. Him kind of like fitting around and trying to be a badass in Hell to make sure that he doesn't get punished. And we see that they've got a Zagnuts candy bar vending machine where it's only Zagnuts and that's all they can eat. We see that they use duct tape as toilet paper, and of course Eugene's trying to be pissy towards Hitler to make sure that he doesn't get punished because Mannering comes in, writes a note down, her cap of her pen marker falls, and one dude picks it up, is like, oh, that's very nice of you, so they take him off to the hole. It's like, shit. Then, after we've seen that going on, we see a baby ward in 1946, and we see Cass singing to Dennis. And it's kind of cool and kind of sweet, saying that he's going to be the best dad that he can be, and of course he's drinking a flask afterwards, so it's like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then of course that goes into the present day, seeing him trying to take care of Dennis. Dennis pushing him away once he tries to put a blanket on him, and him going out, and we see that Tulip is awake at 2:30 a.m. as well. And of course, he's telling her that she should really go to sleep and all that, and she's just not wanting to because of the nightmares. But she eventually agrees. Cass goes back into Dennis, and Tulip leaves. And it's like, okay, this is going on. So then we kind of get into, we see Jesse waking up in the morning, getting into with like Cass lowdown, saying, okay, I'm going to go to this store, this tech store, try and see if they can do anything with the God audition tape and all that. While Cass sees a doctor to Dennis because of everything that's going on. He's like, well, they can't do anything at a hospital, just giving him a sedative and just letting him pretty much be as he is. He tries to ask Jesse for help with like the Genesis and all that, and Jesse's like, I don't think that's not how this power works, Cass. And I don't know if I'd do it if I could. That's not what this power is for. It's like, you've kind of used it pretty liberally. And I'm surprised Cass wasn't a little bit more mad at you, but he was like, oh, okay, Padre. Alright, so, of course, Jesse goes off. We see him, like, in the hallway, talking to Tulip, and she decides to go with him. We're like, oh, okay. And before this, we'd seen Jesse in his room, and we see that the Grail people are watching him. And I'm like, okay, when did that happen that they get all that kind of stuff set up in there that quickly? And they're like, okay, Airstar's coming soon. We just need more information to figure out what's going on with this. It's like, okay. So, of course, Jesse and Tulip are at the circuit place. He asks them if they can do that, and they're like, alright, yeah, we can do that. And he leaves the DVD. Tulip is buying a new fridge because she's seen the hole behind the fridge, and they get it set up, and she, of course, leaves. Jesse has to wait for the DVD to be enhanced and all that. It's like, okay. So, she goes off. We see her setting up the fridge, and then, of course, she sees the bullet hole, and she starts spackling it and going through other apartments doing the same thing, which eventually leads her to the last apartment, which is where the Grail people are. Of course, the one lady disguises herself, says that she thought she was her ex, and of course Tulip goes in, spackles it up and all that. She gives this whole spiel and all that. You got Boo Berry there, and of course that's Tulip's favorite, and they kind of get a repertoire going. Like, hey, have you ever been to the Hurt Locker? You ever been put on a bulletproof vest and get shot in the chest? She's like, no, but it sounds like fun. It's like, oh, okay, I'll take you sometime. And then Tulip leaves, and she's like, all right, we got it in. And that's kind of where Tulip ends. It's like, okay, that's a whole lot of nothing. We get to Jesse's bit, and he's able to see that they do zoom in on the gun, but the serial number scratched off. The people behind the desk think that it's him that did it, that Jesse's the one that did it. It's like, yeah, I thought you wanted this to make sure that nobody could bring it back to you. No, I'm trying to find the person who did this. And they're like, well, we can see something on the slate. Let's try and magnify that. And of course, he then goes back to sit down. He waits and he prays to God to have something to continue on. He says he knows it's kind of like useless or whatnot. And since he's not in heaven, but trying to do it anyway, he goes up, finds that they didn't find anything. It was a coffee pot. He's like, useless. Ah! He's pissed off, goes out, and just tells them to shred the DVD. And you find out that the DVD has written on it, Grail Industries. Ta-da! But he won't know that because it's shredded, and it's like, okay, this is going to get strung along. So that's where Jesse's part's pretty much ended. We then kind of also get to see the stuff that's going on with Eugene, and of course, Mannering gets in, gives them an update about what's going on with their personal hells, that they're getting the power situation sorted out, and that this usually only happens when they have too many people, and that one of them is not supposed to be here. It then starts this chain effect of people trying to say that they are not supposed to be there. We get their like backstories of people like burning children, raping people, murdering people, and all that stuff, and we see that Hitler is able to figure it out with Eugene, and we kind of get a little bit of more backstory with Hitler, how he was like supposed to be a big shot, that a lot of people were excited that he was down there. They gave him kind of free run, a custodian kind of thing. He's seen all the crap that's going on, and Eugene saying that he deserves to be here for kissing Tracy and all that. And he's like, He doesn't buy it, and of course, he trips someone and Eugene helps her, and they send Eugene off to the hold. And he's thrown down, and at first, it's kind of interesting. He makes the kiss to Tracy, and it actually works out in this instance of hell, and they start singing closing time. It's like, okay. But then they hear the toilet go, and she's like, oh, I wish you'd said something before because I gave myself to God, and God in this hellscape that, like, Eugene is thinking and projecting is Jesse. And he starts kissing Tracy, and she starts giving him a hand job, and Tracy's mom is like banging on the door saying that Eugene's father's coming in. It's just freaking the hell out of Eugene, and he then goes with the shotgun to kill himself again. And then, of course, we don't know how long he's been doing this, but they throw him back into the holding place with the rest of the prisoners in hell, and he goes on to the bunk, and Hitler's asking if he's alright and all that. He's like, well, listen, they find out that you are the person that's not supposed to be here, they will throw you in the hold forever. I'm trying to help you, Eugene. I'm going to try and help you escape. And it was like, okay, that's an interesting development, but it's a whole lot of nothing to get there. So then we get towards the end of like Cass's deal in this episode of him going through trying to take care of Dennis, and Dennis wanting him to bite him. We see him using his phone to try and communicate this to Cass, and Cass asking if he wants anything, and him saying him to bite him. Cass, of course, calls Seamus, who I would believe would be his brother, because he does talk about his brother and his mother with Tulip, because he kind of ran it by her. If you could be a vampire, would you? She's like, yeah, live forever. Nothing can hurt you. And then Cass starts going to the negatives. You still feel it. You're lonely. Drugs don't do anything for you. You live longer than your loved ones, and you see him die and all that. She's like, yeah, that sucks. And she goes on her spackling business. And towards the end of the episode, we see him come into Dennis's room and is singing the song that he'd sang to him as a baby, but with a really intense look in his eyes, leading us to believe that he probably will bite Dennis to turn him into a vampire, to give him that last thing as a like father to son, because Cass's brother Seamus said you shouldn't do it, because he was going into like the temperament and all that, and he's like, don't do it, it's going to be a bad idea, and hangs up. So it just was taking a long time to get to this place that we don't know what any payoff is going to happen. It's nice to have these kind of like character development moments with like Cass. That's the strongest stuff. Jesse just seems like he's spinning wheels, and Tulip's thing just seems really disproportionate to what she has been going through. They needed a better way to get the trauma of Saint and Killers across rather than just have her having nightmares about it, because yeah, he might have been a supernatural killer, but she has dealt with that kind of stuff before in the underworld, I would believe, or what I would assume. And with Eugene, it's just like, again, a whole lot of nothing dead space to build up to things. It's more like trying to see how much they can pack of their jokes into it with like blueberry cereal and Zagat candy bars, Zagnut candy bars and all that, and just like, okay, I don't mind the jokes, but you gotta balance the jokes with actually moving the story forward. Otherwise, you're just gonna be sitting there and you're like, oh, nothing happened. So, those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.